Oh, this was the worst I put on my weapon. Oh, this is the mayor. I thought the mayor will be towards like the center.
Those who dream?
Hold a moment. There is a strange new sensation in my mind.
Ooh, wise.
It is not quizzical.
What's going on?
Perhaps we should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
Oh, he's awake now. He's fine.
If you can speak to me, I must have caught you in my dream.
In your dream?
Oh. The mayor explained in the past weeks a mysterious disease called the Death Dream had spread across the forest of mist. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and to live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor had determined the Death Dream was spread from person to person by spoken words, but before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Why stare at the mayor, his mouth twitching slightly?
Now see here. Are you saying that we have been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes. I think you have.
Bruh.
In other words, we've caught the death dream?
Ridiculous. Preposterous. Completely unfathomable on every conceivable level. I don't even recall falling asleep.
That's just how the death dream works.
So polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's remarks.
My remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth in an embarrassed grimace, then quickly changed the subject to who Ken had seen and what they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must have caused you to enter my dream. A certain conversation, a specific word, something.
Ken and Wise racked their brains, but could find no easy solution. There were simply too many words to consider, too much random chatter, too many meaningless conversations.
Grimoire Weiss does not engage in meaningless conversations. It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator.
Oh.
It has demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Wise looked skyward, as if searching for answers in the heavens.
I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
Oh, is this the narrator in the dream, or is this like the mayor? The anger created by his harsh words bled over to Ken like a contagion. Eh. Wait, said Ken suddenly. Did someone just say contagion? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, that villager told us to watch out for contagious words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing a startled Wise aside in the process. He must have said something, right? Asked Mayor. Some specific combinations of words? What was it? It was about dreaming, or something that dreams, or what the hell was it? A sheep! Cried Wise, suddenly blurting out the first thing that popped into this head. The others stared at him for a moment before slowly shaking their heads. After a few more minutes of thought, Ken's face suddenly lit up. I remember. Those who dream. That's what he said, I'm sure of it. At this, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pocket. He flipped through them a few times before nodding his approval at Ken. That sounds right, he said, as a stray sheet of paper floated on the ground. My notes also mentioned something about that. I bet it was the last thing you heard before you fell asleep. The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across a lone piece of paper. For the last months, I've done nothing but study the disease we call the Death Dream, he said. I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect people from whatever comes along, but I never expected a couple of outsiders to start entering people's dreams. The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. I should probably be taking notes or something. Wise immediately fired back. I applaud the force of will it takes to research a disease in your dreams, he said, but perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it. The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. I've tried to escape. From the very first moment I realized I was locked inside my own dream. I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I'd know about it. He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. My village was beautiful, he said to no one in particular, and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once the disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all the color out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens. Ken nodded in agreement. Huh? Wait a second. I didn't nod. Look, if we can be of any help, said Ken, just ask. Now hold on, I did not just say that. Silence, cried Weiss. The Grimoire looked from Ken to the mayor and back again, his face filling with confidence. Grimoire Weiss's face is always confident, thank you very much. Now see here, Mayor, you told us that nothing can exit in this dream without your knowing of it. But yet, you seem surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes? The mayor slowly raised his head, realization dawning on his face. Oh my god, he said. You're right. I had no idea you were coming. The human imagination is a limitless engine, said Weiss, and dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. With your permission, we shall search it out. Thank you, said the mayor. I don't know how I can repay you. Payment is not required. We are as eager as you to be done with this place. The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. Good luck, you two, he called at the departing forms of Ken and Weiss. We're all counting on you. As Ken slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck by a sense of deja vu. I saw this man once before, he thought. But where? Ken's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours later, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around him. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Weiss was proving to be a spectacularly poor traveling companion, unhindered by either terrain or physical effort. He spent most of his time urging Ken to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Well, I'm gonna drink some tea. Finally, after Weiss muttered something about legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, Ken snapped. Okay, Weiss, cram it for a second, would you? You don't have to walk. Ken leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knot from his back. How can this stupid forest be so big? He muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared out a volume that rattled his teeth. Ken slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. Weiss, what's going on? Ken could see Weiss's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed. The forest howled. And then, just as Ken's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Three, three, three. Skak. 샤카카카카 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 칙칙치 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 우우우마 우우우마 씩씩씩 씩씩 씩씩씩. As the insect symphony dimmed another decibel, Ken began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise, it's something else. The insects weren't just calling out, they were asking a question. 1 wizard is lacking, 2 wizard is ideal, 3 wizard is dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is that a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. Oh, I need water, man. I was reading. Oh, my throat. I'm not used to talking so much or like reading so much. 1 wizard is lacking, 2 wizard is ideal, 3 wizard is dangerous. What is it? The answer is a secret. The answer is a seesaw. How should I know? Game froze? No. Please no. Oh. Okay. So, choice. 1 wizard is lacking. 2 wizard is ideal. 3 wizard is dangerous. Oh, the secret. I guess 2 is ideal. I want to say seesaw because it's true, but it's probably a secret, right? But then, is this secret really lacking with only 1 person? I'm not sure. Because a secret can still work with 1 person. But it says 2 as ideal. I don't think a secret will be ideal. I think it's be a seesaw. Maybe it's a seesaw. Something that's ideal with 2 people, but dangerous with 3. Oh, it's a seesaw! Why is his mouth flew open? But before you could say anything, the world suddenly shifted. Rin rin wa, rin rin wa. Shik shik he, shik shik he. When Ken came to, he was once again surrounded by the sounds of insects. The cries of the insects were creating words he had heard somewhere before. 1 wizard is lacking, 2 wizard is ideal, 3 wizard is dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's a key to get out of this place. Deja vu? Then I leave it to you to answer. It was not seesaw. Is it a secret? Inwardly furious that Weiss left the task to him, Ken sighed and gave the only answers that made sense. It's a secret. Alright? The sound of insects stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted before Ken, like a rippling wave, opening a new path. These forests arthropods are making a road for us, said Weiss with glee. Pleased at passing the test, Ken moved on with new intensity. The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on the path, the journey had a purpose. I guess the forest has accepted us, huh? Said Ken after a bit. Weiss spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Weiss finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling, Ken picked up a small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Weiss. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped moving and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I enter through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Absurdly easy, barked Weiss. Now answer it. Ken grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all. This one is pretty easy. I enter through the window, but I break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Sunlight! Sunlight! The plume of water suddenly burst from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Wise softly, I have never seen such a sight. Why can't we see it, man? Perhaps I have misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey look, cried Ken, awakening Wise from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Wise saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Wise? I mean, who'd build a house all the way out here? Ken walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open and the small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began Ken. But before he could get any further, the cloaked man held a hand up and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning, and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? Ken tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Wise, it seems we must answer his riddle. Yeah, I suppose, said Ken. Well, at least it's an easy one. I have 4 legs in the morning, and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? Demon and angel, what? It's gotta be a man, right? The classic, like, born at morning as a baby, noon as an adult, and night as an old man with a cane. A man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke the single word. Correct. With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor, cried Ken. The small man slowly shook his head. I am not the mayor you know. Now, listen to my words. Long ago, I saw a version of you that was not yourself. I'm sorry, what's that mean? It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the Death Dream. Now, you must go to the person at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned his heel and slammed the doors behind him. As Ken watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When Ken and Wise returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he said. He cried, You made it! You actually made it back! His left hand grasped Ken's and pumped it so fiercely as threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right hand seized Wise by the cover and swung him through the air. Gah! By the heavens, stop shaking me, fool! We have not even told you if you were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Ken withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the Death Dream seal, he said. At least, I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as Ken filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the 3 of them laid down on the forest ground and fell asleep. Ken cocked his head. Wait, okay, hang on a second. This is crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. Ken and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten, continued Wise? It is words that control the Death Dream, words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the world tells us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breathing slowly. This is the first time, began the mayor. The first time I have felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour or a year. Then, when they awoke, things had a slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener. It was clear as they had awakened from their dream. Ken shook the mayor's shoulder gently. "Good news," he said. "I think we made it." "Oh wow," said the mayor in an odd voice. "We did it. I'm back." He blinked once, and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. "You two have no idea how much this means. The death dream was spreading through our village and I wanted to. Well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream." The mayor started to stand, then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at Ken and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. "Real life may take some getting used to," said the mayor as a wry smile crossed his lips. "So much reading. You shall relearn in short order, I am sure," said Wise. "For now, you shall return to your home and rest." "No," said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. "No, I can't. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the test tube. I have to save them." The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and then prayed silently. "This is a holy tree," he explained. When the prayer was finished, "It's the guardian of our village's history and memories. Superstitions will only make our mission harder," muttered Wise. "We should not put our faith in the gods." The mayor shook his head. "Not the gods, the words. Legend says our tree is home to a powerful magic known as a sealed verse." Ken and Wise could not contain their surprise. It seemed the gold had been found in the most unexpected of places. "So much reading." "I say," muttered Wise, "this is certainly a stroke of luck." As the three of them said their goodbyes, Ken mentioned the strange man who had given them the third riddle, and the mysterious words he had left with them with. "I once saw a version of you that was not yourself," muttered the mayor. "What in the world does that mean?" Lost his thought, he stared into space for a long moment. "You know," he said softly, "this is going to sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before too." Ken tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the death dream. It probably doesn't mean anything. Ken gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. And what exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove.
That
Please be
dream
sure.
sort of creeps me out.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh. For I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath a stairway in the long unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside, I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes, and an eternity slips by in a single tick of a clock. Someone knocks on my prison. "Anyone there?" I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior! I claw at the door of my jail, embedding 6 splinters under my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh. I sob. Surely, this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. "Help me!" I cry. "For the love of God! No, for the love of all the gods, help me!" Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out of and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired boy in a floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to the blackness, explode with pain, and I am forced to turn away. Who are you?" I asked, shaky hands covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Grimoire Weiss, and this is Ken. Long have we been searching for you. Now, come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as Ken extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are keen as ever, and to recognize the staccato sounds of heavy rain. I never sought to hear that again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pulling around my ankles and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make good or our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive in this place. Time, that long forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers, no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like the endless entrails of a giant. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopies beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It has been shoved against the side of the wall. Despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from to the beds and back again until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into the tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know, and sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether it's a scream or laughter, I cannot be certain. Then my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving that most terrible of rooms. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed east. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed west. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed south. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. I squint south and proceed north, down east, west. The water has risen to my chin and now laps greedily at my mouth and nose. You dumb bass, shouted Ken. He surely desired to say more, but the rest of his insult is cut short by the rising water. Bro, Ken. Grimoire Weiss, wet and tattered, floats on the water's surface. It's already too late for him. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. Well, I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. The empty corridor. Found a row of 20, all covered in clear. Searching for the door next to the next room, come upon it. Sad wall, despite my fear, I've seen just beyond. North. East. North. It's not east. Wait. It's not south. Proceed north. At the end of the path, the water rises to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray that this is the way out. Eventually, I can stand the sight of the water no longer, and so turn my eyes upward. Imagine my surprise when I see a series of paintings hanging on the faded plastered wall. Each depicts a person in the prime of life, clad in clothing of the highest quality. The styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long, long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It is constructed of a thin, breezy cloth and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt of the most perfect construction. It is stunning costume even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I am struck by a desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet, as I extended a single finger to the painting, I am gripped by a most unpleasant feeling. Staring closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another finger. Something behind the picture is pointing at me. Is it another prisoner? A fellow inmate, trapped for eternity in this place. I cannot let it pass, and so I seize the portrait with both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside, I can just make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there will be no rescue. The poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of the fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I have been admiring a row of corpses blocked from my view by portraits of each victim at their pinnacle. Enough! Shielding my eyes, I paddled forward through the water. I squint down the dim quarters and proceed south. East. At the end of the path, I find myself in a great hall, with only the sound of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table, upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head, but as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, wriggling insects have made home in the remains, and this is the movement I saw. The once splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, to slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chair proved to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat, up the back and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only praise that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasps frantically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment. Though in truth I suspect they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the dim quarters and proceed east. That's proceeded east. It's not west. Is it north or west? Oh. I think it's north. No! Proceed. Up. Well, I'm just gonna make a map. Center. I go upward once. North. East. Then I proceed right. And then I proceed north. It can't be south, no, south. So it has to be either east or west or north. I didn't went north last time. Let's try west. At the end of the pass. Wait, let me take note. A row of heavy wooden casks lie on their sides in a dark chamber. Doubtless they are filled with wine. My thirst roars to life. I cannot remember the last time my parched throat had relief. I scramble to the first cask and pull frantically at the cork. The theft of a few cups means nothing, I tell myself. This cask will be ruined by the flood regardless. Finally, the cork surrenders to my attack, and sick red liquid bursts forth from the hole. This is no wine. It is blood, so warm from the body. Was it animal or something else? I cannot say. The foul liquid soon mixes with the rising floodwaters, creating a warmth that laps against my sides. By all the gods, are the rest of these casks filled with blood as well? I lack the courage to confirm my suspicion. Disgust quickly becomes fear as I turn to flee, but my weak legs betray me, sending me toppling over into the red ocean below. What the fuck? The smell of death is everywhere. It threatens to consume me. I must escape this hell. Crawling on all fours like an animal, holding back the screams, lest any foulness enter my mouth, I lunge forward through the red waters and out of the room to freedom. I sprint down the corridors and proceed east. So we're going back. So it's not west or south. Let's try east. Hold on, taking notes. It's not west. I think it's north, but let's see what the story for east is. I find myself in a great hall with only the sound of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table upon which rests china silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes already did this. Skip. It's not west, so it's north. Wait, I wonder what north will be. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. Break it down, someone cries, and so I give myself to the effort. In tandem with Ken and Grandma Weiss, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat. The clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west, I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cried as tears joined the rain on my cheeks. I would surely have died in there. Looking down, I suddenly noticed that my dress is in tatters, and sheepishly tried to cover my exposed skin. Your dress? Asked Weiss. Then you are a woman, madam? I am. I proffered to the smile as the two smiled. I suppose that comes as something surprising as how I exist only in the form of words. I could see that the one known as Ken is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides a will. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's window shadows a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, uncountable black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened to their new life as shades.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Wise and Ken had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away. What do you think, Vice?
As Wise considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
He said. Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight. Ken nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road on which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid this material down over their home. The heat, reflecting from the road, made Ken lightheaded. His feet hurting, he crouched down to rest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us or what? The complaining had already begun. Wise tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke? He said. No joke. This road leads to the city of art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it in this way might make it easier for you to bear. Ken glanced at Wise's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. Oh, I need water. Hold on a sec. As time passed, Ken's feet grew more painful, and his throat drier than he thought possible. Oops, I just drink water. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We are definitely getting closer, said Weiss, in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this much is certain. Encouraged, Ken lifted his gaze. Suddenly he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open, and his finger pointing in the distance. Water! He cried. It's water! Water? Asked Weiss. Preposterous. I don't see any water. Over there, just ahead of us. Look, the sun is reflecting off it. Without waiting for a response, Ken sprang to life and bounded toward the sight. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but sand in every direction. Ken closed his eyes inside as Weiss floated up behind him and chuckled softly. I believe this is known as a mirage, he said. Many a desert traveler has spoken of such things. Ken shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly, he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. Wait, there it is! I just missed it! Look, it's right there! Ken sprinted off again, leaving Weiss with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Ken came to a halt. I could have sworn it was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up on his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue, shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour until an exasperated Weiss finally floated up to Ken and struck him in the face with his cover. Enough, you blizzard idiot! Stop this at once! There is no water here. Ken's face clouded. There isn't? There is not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much. Weiss paused for a moment, then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems to have arrived in the city of art. Ken looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. They're huge, cried Ken, completely forgetting the heat and pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big. Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up toward the sky. But that is where the similarity ends. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. What kind of city is this? Said Ken. Where are the people? Where are the houses? Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use. The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels sat silent on steel rails. Beautifully carved works with lights of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials they had never seen before encountered. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find the seam or purpose of the abstract works around them, Ken and Weiss eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. Ken uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally, I was getting tired of modern art. 3 statues were indistinguishable except for a single word chiseled into their right arms. 1 read Alpha, 1 read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As Ken moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Alighting on the statue's shoulder, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies. Oh, not this puzzle. With that, the bird departed as if on cue. The 3 statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. Hey, look at that, said Ken. They're alive! The triplets bowed low before Ken. Please, said Alpha. You have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to Ken and threw his hand in the air. Alpha's a fake. You know, I'm the real one. Oh. What a load of crap, said Gamma. Beta's fake. Everyone knows I'm the real one around here. Wait. One lies, one tells the truth. But there's... Huh. Your respective pleas given the 3 statues return to their full state as silence once again enveloped in the city. Please, said Alpha. Yep. Alpha says themselves. Beta says Alpha's lying. Gamma says Beta's lying. When you consider all of the statements, only one of them could be the real thing, said Weiss. Ken furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies. The real one is Gamma. The eyes of the statue shone in eerie light. The light grew stronger and stronger until Ken and Weiss were forced to turn away. Alpha. No! The real one is Beta. Though Ken's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Weiss nodding at him. If Alpha were telling the truth, began Weiss in the dry tones of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes. In that case, Gamma's claims that Beta's fake will be the truth, even though Gamma is a liar. Therefore, that theory crumbles. Now, let us presume that Gamma spoke the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars. In this situation, however, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us with 2 statues telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense. Therefore, Beta must be real. As Weiss finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust, while Beta sprang into life once more. Congratulations, villager, said Weiss in a cheerful voice. The time to awaken has arrived. Thank you for saving me, cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable Ken pulled him to his feet. Why did you have a dream like this? Asked Weiss. Have you been to the city before? The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could have ever been to a place like this. But at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before. Deja vu, muttered Ken, just like the mayor. The vague sense of unease that struck Ken during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.